Everyone is aware of the communication difficulties that can arise when relocating abroad. Unless, that is, you relocate to France, where the language of love is spoken, or Germany, where people seem to be chatting indifferently and angrily. Today, we're exploring the top countries for retirement that are both affordable and where a significant portion of the population speaks English. Got it, great. Let's dive in. We're heading to Singapore, also known as the Lion City. You might be wondering, Singapore, isn't it a melting pot of cultures? How does anyone even speak English there? Well, hold on and let me explain. Singapore is a bilingual hotspot where most people speak English as if they were raised in the Midwest. There's a good reason for this: banking and business. Singapore thrives on banking and various industries, and many of the businesses they work with are from English-speaking nations. So, it's logical to teach kids English before they even finish school. Singapore can be budget-friendly, but there's a catch. Living in the city center extremely pricey, with the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment around $2,500. Once you move outside the city center, rent drops by about half or more. The overall cost of living, including goods and services, isn't too bad. According to Numbeo, the average person can live in Singapore for roughly $1,100 a month. The great news is that 90% of the population speaks English. We'll dive into that after a quick word from today's sponsor, Aura. Since I spend a lot of time online, it's crucial for me to ensure my personal information stays safe and isn't floating around where it shouldn't be. You can discover who has your information if you quickly conduct a Google search using your name. It is uneasy, too, observing that bothers me. Data brokers are those that sell personal information to scammers, spammers, and other individuals who wish to target you. Since this is their source of income, you can be sure they're working very hard at it. I've been utilizing Aura, the sponsor of today's film, for that reason. I can see which data brokers are selling my information thanks to Aura, which also automatically files my opt-out requests. Eliminating this data will lessen spam and the possibility that someone may obtain it and use it to compromise your online privacy. Hackers have the ability to access your social media accounts, bank accounts, and other private information that you would prefer to keep private. Without having to download multiple apps, I can get additional services like parental controls, antivirus, VPN, password management, ID theft insurance, and more. Not only is it really simple to assemble, but all of this is available for a very reasonable price. Occasionally, it's the cost of a single service. Because most of us have extremely busy lives, having someone like Aura at your side is beneficial. Aura is like locking your front door and leaving your back door wide open. You may already own one or two of these tools. I can focus on other tasks with peace of mind because Aura is constantly on and taking care of my safety. You may obtain a 2-week free trial of Aura by visiting aura.com/Briggs. I cherish both of our privacies. Additionally, the description section below has a link. Okay, let's get back to the video. Ireland is number 9. Yes, Ireland is one of the most affordable countries to live in compared to other English-speaking nations, but that's not the nicest thing about being on the Emerald Isle. To begin with, the Irish are among the healthiest people you will ever meet. And guess what? Their English is Queen's. Additionally, they speak a language they call Irish, which they refer to as Gaelic in their language. This is distinct from Scottish Gaelic, which Americans refer to as Gaelic for unknown reasons. However, you shouldn't worry about that because, unless they're foreigners, everyone speaks English. They speak English if they are Irish. Ireland is an island, but it's not the usual island that most of us were raised to believe that an island should be. Things tropical, pirates, palm trees, etc. No, this is a different kind of island with rain, mist, and rocky coasts. It also gets cold. I guess the Vikings were the only people whoever arrived in Ireland and said, "Hey, this is really great weather." Now, the reason Google opened an office in Ireland so long ago was the country's enticing 12.5% corporate tax rate. When they first started, I believe it was lower. That's rather low in comparison to most other nations, which explains why Ireland is home to the headquarters of so many diverse nations. There might only be 12 employees in the office. Thus, Ireland might be a wonderful option for you if you're looking for a gorgeous destination to live that doesn't have the best weather, but has great beer and friendly locals. Ireland's average monthly rent for a one-bedroom apartment outside of the city center, $1,500. It's true that this one costs a little bit more than the others in the list. They will get cheaper. In Ireland, a single person's monthly expenses are projected to be $1,055. That does not include rent. Rent varies. In Ireland, the majority of people speak English. Portugal is ranked 8th. Fasten your seatbelt and prepare to discover Portugal. Portugal has always reminded me a little bit of California. They really do share a lot of similarities. The temperature is not too much apart. Like California, they have the ocean right there with some amazing surf places. The population is a little more relaxed than in most other regions of Europe, and they don't have many of the issues that California has, such as a large enough homeless population to support a small city. Generally speaking, they like outsiders. They truly are people of the sea, and they are exceedingly hospitable. When you consider their culinary traditions and historical background, salted fish and grilled sardines are almost national treasures. Their history reveals that they were a true maritime power. In the 15th and 16th centuries, they were all over the world, simply raising their flag wherever they could. They had a vast empire. Portuguese is spoken in a great number of different countries because they drew it back quite a bit and many of the other nations gained their own freedom. However, somewhat more than 60% of people in Portugal speak English. It is now reasonably priced. Without factoring in rent, the ordinary person in Portugal thought to require roughly $712 per month to get by. It goes without saying that the cost will increase if you're traveling through a major city. Overall, though, it's not too pricey if you venture outside of the city center. This place just has a $772 monthly rent. 7th, St. Lucia. One beautiful Caribbean island that could be your ideal retirement location is St. Lucia. It's the island we've all been dreaming of, with year-round warm weather, beautiful jungles, and Instagram-worthy beaches. St. Lucia is ranked 9th out of the 20 English-speaking countries in the world where retirement costs are lowest in 2023 by Yahoo Finance. 2024, they are now more affordable. Compared to the U.S., St. Lucia has an average cost of living that is almost 29% lower. They also provide retirees with some financial benefits, like exemptions from inheritance, capital gains, wealth, and international income or asset taxes. On this island, eating out is incredibly cheap. At a restaurant, a complete supper for one person can be had for about $5. Although there are upscale options available for tourists, dinner here costs $5 for the ordinary individual. I don't know how excellent a $5 supper is, but it is within my reach. In St. Lucia, the monthly expenses of an individual, exclusive of rent, come to $812, a month's rent of roughly $339. 99% of people in the nation speak English. Cyprus is number 6. Situated in the eastern Mediterranean Sea, Cyprus is a treasure. It boasts beautiful beaches, a laid-back way of life, and a rich history. Despite appearances to the contrary, Cyprus is a predominantly English-speaking nation. Because of British administration from 1878 to 1960, English is a widely spoken language. The majority of people, 76%, speak English. It's not too expensive if you decide to move to Cyprus after packing up. Without including rent, the average person can get by on roughly $1,000 per month. Here, too, rent is comparatively low. One bedroom costs approximately $440 per month outside of the city core. It isn't much more if you are in the city center. It barely amounts to $550 each month. You can definitely find rentals for thousands of dollars. Even though it's an island, you can usually have things done for that. Additionally, 76% of people can speak English. Malaysia is number 5. Malaysia is a country in Southeast Asia that offers a wide range of experiences, from crowded metropolitan streets to stunning beaches and jungles. And because of its affordable housing and tranquil environment, it has grown in popularity as a retirement destination during the past 10 years. For seniors living abroad, the Malaysia is My Second Home retirement visa program is a well-liked choice. Because Malaysia was formerly a part of the British Empire, English is widely spoken there, and you can live comfortably here for an average of $1,000 per month. However, you could make ends meet here on $1,000 a month, not including rent. Additionally, an apartment outside of the city center might cost up to $600. You should expect to pay roughly $1,500 if you get it inside the city. Thus, there is a slight jump. 60% of Malaysia speaks English. The Philippines is at number 4. Southeast Asian country, the Philippines is a breathtaking chain of islands with a vibrant past and present. With gorgeous beaches, pleasant weather, and astounding natural beauty, the locals are renowned for their friendliness and warmth. It makes sense that the Philippines is a well-liked travel destination for retired military personnel. Indeed, speak with almost anyone who has been in the Navy, and they will likely know someone who stayed in the Philippines. They either moved there when they were discharged or retired there, or they merely stayed there after their duty ended. It's a significant event for the Navy. There are currently a few surveys that place the Philippines between the 7th and the 4th place as the greatest English-speaking nation to retire to. The Philippines came in at number 5 on SurveyMonkey's ranking. That happened in July 2023. On $1,000 a month, you can live there in comfort. One of the official languages in the Philippines is English. It goes without saying that issues can arise anywhere in the world. But overall, most people say in the Philippines, Americans are more than welcome. The government is also in favor of them. With the promise of a higher standard of living, the Philippines is aggressively wooing Filipino Americans to move back and retire there. In the Philippines, the projected monthly expenses for an individual are $545 United States dollars. A one-bedroom apartment outside of the city center will run you roughly $170 a month. The English-speaking population is 82%. Third place goes to Jamaica. Jamaica is well known for its reggae culture, beaches, and verdant hillsides. The native Taino people have a long history in this island nation. After becoming an independent nation in 1962, it developed into a vibrant democracy. Jamaica was listed by Yahoo as the 4th most cheap place to retire in 2022. In Jamaica, a single person can subsist on $862 per month, not including rent. Outside of a major center, the monthly rent for a one-bedroom apartment in Jamaica is approximately $318. In the heart of the city, apartments typically start at $700 as they advance into the thousands. In Jamaica, 89% of people speak English. Belize comes in second. Belize is a frequently disregarded alternative for retiring on Central America's Caribbean coast. Their illustrious past in Belize dates back to the era of the ancient Mayans. Indeed, it is adjacent to Mexico, and the Mayans lived here as well. For whatever reason, a lot of people believe that the Mayans and Aztecs lived exclusively in Mexico. The Mayans and Aztecs were widely dispersed. They were in what would become Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and even down to Honduras and a tiny piece of El Salvador. Currently, the population of this highly diversified nation is approximately 410,000. give or take a small amount. For English speakers seeking for a new place to call home, it's an appealing option because English is the official language. Indeed, real estate may be purchased here. Belize has been aggressively luring retired Americans and Canadians to go there and establish new residences. Without including rent, the ordinary person in Belize can get by on roughly $700 per month. However, rent outside of the city center is just about $250. English is spoken by 70% of the population in this nation. Okay, so before we move on to the first place, have you investigated any of the places that aren't on this list? Tell us in the space provided for comments below. That information will be useful for a later video that we make. Okay, let's move on to the first. Panama ranks first as well, for Americans who want to get away from the daily grind without going broke. Panama is calling. There are initiatives aimed at encouraging Americans, Canadians, and Australians to visit Panama. My home was in Panama. It's a pleasant nation. Though it has been a long time since I moved there, I really enjoyed it. It was fantastic. The folks were friendly. The people were welcoming. They had a problem with the military, which I was in, but overall, they were pretty decent to Americans that weren't in uniform. What about living in Panama? First things first, language barrier. It's not really an issue in Panama. Sure, Spanish is the name of the game, but guess what? English is basically the reliable backup for most folks in Panama. That's a huge plus for all the Americans that move down there that can barely speak English and nothing else. They've got Panama City, Cologne, rainforests, beaches. They've got it all, perfect for retiring. Panama is definitely cheaper than living back in the States. We're talking housing, groceries, the whole shebang is just cheaper. You could retire in Panama and forget all about pinching pennies in retirement. It's like the ultimate upgrade for your life without the eye-watering price tag. They do speak English, but it'd be a good idea to brush up on your Spanish if you do decide to pull the trigger on Panama. Without taking into account rent, the average person in Panama can get by on roughly $780 per month. Now, you should budget roughly $540 per month for a one-bedroom apartment located outside of the city core. Overall, for less than $1,500 a month, you can live quite comfortably here. Language proficiency in Panama is about 65%. Okay, so that wraps up today's video. I hope it was enjoyable for you all. I hope it was informative in some way. Go now and enjoy your wonderful day. Treat one another with kindness. Please consider like and subscribing to our channel. Regards.